Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Social Media Manager for HAR, and welcome to our last Member Focus Monday of the year with our very own President and CEO, Bob Hale. Bob, welcome.
Hey, thank you, Christine. It's so great to be here this morning.
Thank
Fantastic.
Thank you for taking time to join us. I know we have a lot to discuss. Before we do, though, I do want to mention that today's Member Focus Monday is sponsored by the Harris County Flood Control District. Floods are powerful, but knowledge is too. Visit mapnext.org today to improve your understanding of the risk of flooding around Harris County for yourself and for your clients. So Bob, again, welcome to our program. We're so happy to have you. We try to get you on here at least once a year to round out the year for us and tell us what's coming.
And I can never tell you no. So.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Seriously, my dad worked for the Harris County Flood Control District for many years. So
wow.
I didn't know they were a sponsor today. That's
well,
cool.
There you go. There's the connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. So, Bob, you have been at the helm as president and CEO since 1988. So you've seen a lot of HAR's history. Most people don't realize that HAR is the second largest realtor association in the country. And I would venture to guess that we're probably the best too, I might add. But
yeah, probably so, yeah.
Probably so. How did HAR become what it is today?
Well, through many innovations that took place. And let me just tell you, none of these I'm going to talk about were easy. Every single one of them was somewhat of a challenge. But that's what innovation is all about. It's doing the right thing for the members at the right time. And we've had great leaders year after year after year that have moved HAR forward. So let me start back with, we were the first MLS in the country to eliminate MLS books. Now, why do we do that? Well, because they became too heavy to lift. They were huge. they were like a foot tall. And, they were a week out of date. They had a little bitty black and white picture. There was no way to really research or search for a listing. And so we went to the computer and became, Matrix today.
Mm-hmm. I bet some people watching today actually use those books.
they can't imagine what it was like. Our MLS never became a regional MLS owned by multiple associations like Netris in Dallas area, as numerous associations that owned it. We never did that. And because we didn't do that, it led to the successful merger of three other associations, Fort Bend, Bay Area, and Montgomery County. So we became one large association, one large MLS that's benefited members throughout the entire area. We were the first to create a MLS public website, har.com, which is now the number one in Houston and always ranks number 10 in the entire country.
That's amazing.
And the benefit to the member is all of their listings are promoted to the general public at no cost, no referral fees, and the listing agent gets the leads. We were the first to create IDX and the VOW. We created an IDX solution for the members before NAR had any IDX rules. We were the first. NAR copied our rules, made them nationwide, and the rest is history. We changed the building sign out in front of the HR building, on the Southwest Freeway. It used to have the big Realtor R on it, and everybody's like, I don't think the consumer cares about that. And so we put har.com because it's one of the busiest freeways in the state. We were the first to introduce agent ratings and agent production. And we heard some screams about that. And yet today we have over 5,000 members that participate. And those that do say that's where they get their leads. It's where they get their listings. They never lose a listing because of their ratings. We developed the first and maybe still the only MLS to have its own iPhone, iPad, and Android apps for the member and the consumer. We introduced Platinum, and I remember the staff was very nervous about doing that. And we thought, well, there's going to be a revolt. I'm not sure many people will do it. We've got 16,000 members now using Platinum, and we never heard a single complaint. And then TreePack has raised over $5 million over the last 5 years. That's $1 million a year. No one's even come close to that. And lastly, HAR is consistently receiving recognition and awards by NAR, TAR, the HBJ, Inman, and others for its technology, for its YPN, for its training, for its communications, for its international, for its tree pack, and on and on and on.
Oh, that's wonderful. That innovation over the years has really built this amazing association, and as you said, an amazing website as well. So, and we've kind of mentioned the size already, but HAR has about 80 staff members, but also has over 42,000 members. That's a lot of people who would be impacted by leadership decisions. So going into March, and when there was murmurings of a stay-at-home order that was going to be put into place, what was your thought process to keep the association and its members successful when that stay-at-home order was put into place?
Well, I had personally never thought about working from home. It was just something that didn't enter my mind. Why would you think about it? You had a nice office to come to, get out of the house, be with your friends, serve the members. And all of a sudden, on March, I guess about the 16th, it hit us. And on March the 17th, I think that was a Tuesday night, Brad Inman called me and said, "Have you closed your offices yet?" And I said, "No, we're talking about these." And he got real mad at me. And he says, "Shut those offices down and protect your staff and your members." Went back to the office Wednesday. I said, "Renee, we need to really think about this." I thought we were on the cutting edge. We weren't. We were lagging behind a lot of entities that already shut down. So on the 20th, the HR facilities were no longer available, but his staff and member services were totally available. Our mantra became HAR has never closed. We miss being together with the members as much as I hope they miss being with us. And we said at the outset, the staff agreed to erase the whiteboard, just totally erase everything we've done, start fresh, and never ever say that's how we always did it. Then the staff sat down and identified pain points that the members may be having due to COVID. How do we eliminate those? And that's where we got to work.
So what was HAR's immediate response after the stay-home order was put into place? So we mentioned closing the offices, but keeping, our phone lines open and available. What was the immediate response?
Well, we looked around the country and we saw lots of stay-at-home orders where real estate was not deemed essential. And Harris County was coming, they were going to meet Monday, and they were going to propose who could be open and who couldn't. And we realized real estate wasn't mentioned. It didn't say you had to stay home. It didn't say you could work. There was just no mention of it. So we got on the phone with the county judge and the 4 commissioners. I remember on the phone Sunday night till 11:30 talking to them. And they were so open-minded. They were so positive about real estate and the power and the function. I mean, we had all these pending closings. You couldn't just stop them. People had to close so they could move. They'd sold their other home. They'd bought a home. And so I spoke to them by phone that Monday morning, and they voted unanimously to make real estate essential. And if you ever wonder, does tree pack and governmental affairs and our involvement matter? Boy, that was it. Because if we weren't deemed essential, we wouldn't have been working. We'd have been sitting at home doing nothing. So it worked out very well. The other thing we did is our IT staff had figured that this was coming. They were way ahead of us mentally. And so they had ordered work from home equipment, telephones, computers, and all the necessary licenses to do it, because you got to be legally able to do it. And they did that well ahead of the official stay-at-home order. And so we had internet phones at home. So all the staff unplugged their phone from their desk, took it home, plugged it into their router at home. And as far as the member knew, I was sitting in my office. If I needed to call you, I pushed your extension, you picked the phone up just like we would at the office. So we never missed a beat there. And we migrated from 4 office locations to work from home at over 80 work from home locations in a matter of a very few days. and it went as smooth as possible. Now, I talked to MLSs and associations that didn't have the internet phones. They had no way of communicating with the members. I mean, they were at home with their phone, but I mean, that didn't do you any good. So, being innovative and on top of it really matters when it's important.
Absolutely.
We saw that.
And that
We saw it.
forethought, yeah, for that IT had to prepare for it ahead of time. That was really helpful. So kudos to them. So those were things that we kind of planned for, but were there any pain points that you didn't expect that came up once people started working from home?
One in particular. So members started calling, when's HR going to open? And I asked the staff, be sure to ask them, why do you need HAR to open? We need to know. The number one, in fact, the only reason over and over and over was, I need a lockbox. So the Super Center created reduced a pain point by developing a pandemic compliant parking lot delivery system. So the member goes online, orders a lockbox, pays for it, and then lets the office know when they are going to come by to pick it up. We take it out to their car. They don't have to get out of the car. They don't have to sign anything, and they're on their way. Or they need a sign frame, or they need supplies. All of it is brought to them, just like McDonald's. You don't have to get out and do anything. And now members can pick up lock boxes at 12 different locations from Conroe to Galveston. So it's much more convenient than the previous 4 locations. And the other thing we did is we knew we were going to be doing a lot more digital and a lot more virtual. So we mass ordered the Rico camera for our members at a wholesale price, which you couldn't get anywhere else. And the deal was, you cannot sell this to the public. It can only be sold at this price to your members. And those, they sold out pretty rapidly. The second thing was, we were worried that real estate was going to tank and members couldn't afford to pay their fees. So we waived third quarter MLS fees and commercial fees. That amounted to over $6 million. So if you ever wonder, why does an MLS or association need reserves, that was it. We had the reserves. We could waive $6 million. And then the other thing we did is we had MLS phone and online chat support was extended to 7 days a week. And now we've had 6,000 member contacts every month due to that extra support.
Wow.
And that's been very, very positive.
Yeah, that is amazing, Bob. We actually do have a question that already came in from one of our members, Bev, who is just curious about updates about opening the Woodland store. She says she misses them. But I know that's a common question that we've gotten.
Yeah, we are working on to see if we can open, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but where we can open the branches on a limited basis to pick up supplies, just like we do at the main office. So you would order them online, you would pay for them, you'd say when I'm going to come by and pick them up, and they'd be brought out to your car. We can't literally open legally. We can't open the offices and just let everybody come in. But the only reason everybody said their only thing we need is supplies. So you can get them by UPS or FedEx right now. And if you want to come pick them up, that's what we're working on.
Very good. And I don't think you could speak out of turn, Bob. You are the president and CEO.
Oh, so. Well, yeah. I've done it before.
Okay, so moving right along, you've mentioned, you just mentioned that we've increased support to 7 days a week. Have we seen a drop off or an increase in member participation during this time?
I'll tell you, member participation and engagement has gone through the roof. Never dreamed what we would see. Let me give you some examples. Professional development, which is our training, has held virtual classes for over 20,000 students since March. 20,000 virtual classes. I mean, students have attended. That's a 40% increase in training since 2019. 40% increase this year. The even bigger wow is that 89% of the students polled or surveyed said, we like virtual training as much or more than in class training. Number one reason, over and over and over, no traffic. The second thing is I don't have to dress up. I can stay in my pajamas and sit in the dining room and drink my coffee and do all my training. So the traffic was the key thing. And they're saying going forward, we don't want to deal with the traffic. We like this virtual deal. All right. And membership grew to an all-time record. We're almost at 43,000. It's mind-boggling. And then I want to say thanks to you, Christina, who you are our superstar, that through your Member Focus Monday, you've generated this year over 250,000 member views. And in one episode, Racism in Real Estate had over 15,000 views. And you've taken our social media to new heights. Pardon me, 90,000 followers on our social media accounts. And this was very helpful during the recent incident with the missing realtor. And your post about her disappearance was shared 9,000 times and was seen by 570,000 people. Thank you. You have done so much for HAR. And every member, everybody knows you, everybody loves you, and we really appreciate what you're doing for us. And then we ceased the publication of the print magazine. We went all digital. So now you can look at it anytime you want. You don't have to try to find it. It can have video in it. It can have links to all kinds of things. We're finally in the 20th century on that. And MLS training and new member orientation are now in Spanish. That's another innovation that we've done. And we have the virtual labs so members can ask questions about technology tools and MLS, and those have been highly successful. And now we have evening classes from 6 to 9. So you don't have to get in your car and drive home at 9 o'clock at night, and maybe it takes an hour to get there, and worry about your safety. You can watch it from the convenience of your home. And the big thing that members really love is they can join now HAR and MLS virtually and pay their fees and dues virtually electronically. And then we did a tremendous amount of research of consumers and our members about COVID, how it's affecting them, what do they need, and we've gleaned tons of information from those surveys that Roz has done. And HAR TV, the YouTube channel, subscribers have doubled this year over last year. And I know Matt and Claudia just created a streaming ad to promote HR.com on streaming TV platforms like Hulu and Roku and smart TV ads and others. So we're busy as can be. We've never been busier. And truthfully, we've never had as many compliments as we've had this year. Yes,
definitely. And some of those initiatives, like the evening classes, for instance, that was something that had been requested for years. And Rita and her team would look at how to make that work. But opening the office, there's security issues. You need staff there. There's all these things that would have been necessary. But doing the virtual class, it's just sitting in front of the computer. So these are things that
Gary Keller recently said at an Inman conference that the innovation that would have taken 5 to 10 years to put in place is happening in about 12 to 18 months. And it's happened at HR. All these things we maybe would have done, we thought about them, but you're busy, doing other things. We had to do them, and we'll never go back. I mean, we'll go back to some of the ways, but we'll never get rid of the things that benefit the members.
Definitely. That last one, the streaming ad, that's really, it's a neat ad, and
it's a great ad. It's a great ad.
So if any of our members are watching a streaming service and see the ad, take a picture of it so we can see that you noticed it. Video, video is only going to continue to grow. There's, like you just said, there's been so many technology changes that have happened rapidly. So with that in mind, what kind of technologies did HAR develop to help its members stay competitive in this new virtual world?
Well, Taki and his team just created a new product, and let me say that he's got about 11 programmers in Houston that worked at HAR in the building, and he's got a number of them in Pakistan and in India and Brazil and other parts of the world. and they all work beautifully together. They use Slack, and they communicate, day and night, because when it's day here, it's night there, and vice versa. And
He
so
doesn't
it's
sleep.
really a 24-hour operation, the technology department.
Yes.
And those people have worked like crazy to turn out some really amazing tools. And the one that they just created, I think it went live last week or maybe now, is a customer verification system. So the agent can verify the identity of someone before they meet them, either for a showing or just to meet with them. And so you will know who they are. Now, I want to clarify, this does not check criminal or financial backgrounds, but it verifies Bob Hale is the person who he says he is. And they check numerous databases, including social media and all kinds of different databases to identify that. So we believe that's going to be a huge safety benefit.
I love that it also, I was just going to say, I love that it also has the confidence score. So, it tells you how confident it is in that verification. I think that's really helpful for members to be able to see that.
Yeah. So that I just want to give a shout out. That was a huge, I think, huge benefit. And we're going to focus on realtor safety going into next year big time, including much more training and more safety tools, and a place on HR where everything safety related will be in one spot. The other thing they did is develop the media app that allows an agent to manage their media content, like photos, videos, 3D tours. That's been incredibly positive. And then the third thing is they launched, and boy, they put in more hours on this. I can't imagine how much time they spent, but the HR.com virtual platform that provides for the virtual open house and the virtual showings. And forget COVID. These things are going to be so great after COVID. They save time. We've had over 20,000 consumers watch or attend a virtual open house.
It's amazing.
20,000. And the comments are, they can see as many as they want without having to drive and see it. Now, a virtual showing, I'm a doctor. I'm busy. I don't have time to go see that, but I'm really interested in this house. I can sit in my office at the hospital. You, as the realtor, can walk through the house, do a virtual showing. I can ask you, show me a little bit more about the granite on the countertop or the shower or whatever. And I say, okay, I really, you showed me 4 other virtual showings. I really like that one. Let's meet and physically go see it. But that way I don't have to go see 5. I can narrow it down to the one I really want. This is going to save consumers and realtors so much time. It's not just about safety. It's about convenience and time.
Wonderful.
Let me give you a story. I got a call the other day from my car dealership. Said, the lease on your car is up in 30 days. You need to get a new car, sign a new lease. And I remembered back, 4 years ago, the experience. You go out there early in the morning, so you miss the crowd. You go all over the parking lot, 3 levels up. It's hot, and you get these cars that hadn't been opened. And it was sort of miserable, I thought. But you find the car you want. Then you go in and negotiate the price, which is probably the easiest part of it. Then you go in the little room in the back with the finance manager to do the deal. It took an hour. He was trying to sell me everything. They had like 15, you've got to have this, you got to have that. I don't want any of that stuff. But it took an hour to sign the papers. Then I say, okay, what is the car? No, it's going to take 3 hours to get it ready. Go to lunch and bum around and come back in 3 hours. It was a miserable experience. So this time I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to drive out to your dealership, especially with COVID. Do you have an iPhone? The salesman said, yeah. And I love that sales guy. And he said, yes. I said, well, go find me the car I want and show it to me. And he did. Exact car. I said, okay, that's the car I want. I said, now, I'm not going to come out there and sit in an hour in the office signing those papers. They emailed them all DocuSign Took me maybe less than a minute to sign all the papers. And then he delivered the car to me, handed the keys, and that was it.
That's
Totally
great.
virtual, 100% virtual.
That's wonderful.
And that's the consumer experience. Consumers want ease. And that's just an example of how, forget COVID. That had nothing to do with COVID. It had to do with what the consumers want. All right, so enough of that. But I think technology is going to play a bigger and bigger part in everything. Certainly won't get rid of human interaction ever.
Right.
People will still want to see that house.
And I think as well, consumers are going to expect it. The more you tell that story to people, they're going to say, "Hey, I want my car delivered and the keys handed to me."
More and more car dealers are going to start. You're already seeing, the virtual. You don't come in, this dealer will do it virtual. So anyway,
very good. Shannon Higgins just made a kind of a funny comment. She says, "Virtual open houses, a great addition. Thanks, COVID."
Yeah.
Very good. I mean, they existed prior to COVID, but COVID kind of made them a necessity for a while. So
right.
Very, very good point. So switching gears here a little bit, the brokerage market, it's been changing over the last few years. What's the current state of the brokerage market, or how is it changing here in Houston?
Well, it's interesting to watch. Not long ago, if you looked at the 5 largest brokers in the Houston market, they were all owned by local people. Okay. Today, of the 5 largest, 4 are either owned in New York City, Compass and Douglas Elliman. 2 are owned in New Jersey, Coldwell Banker and Martha Turner Sotheby's, and 1 is owned in Washington State, EXP. And so of our 5 largest brokers now, 1 is locally owned, and that's through Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green. So we've seen a major change in many things, but certainly in the brokerage market in Houston.
Okay. Very good. So as we head into 2021, what challenges or initiatives do you foresee?
Oh boy, quite a few. First will be when it's time to go back. I think when it's time that we go back to work, it's going to be more difficult going back to work than it was working from home, because that was just lock the door and everybody works from home. That was pretty easy. Coming back is going to be more of a challenge, because you've got now all these surveys of employees in every kind of business. Some want to work from home, some want to work from the office, but the vast majority want to blend. The vast majority want to come in when they need to, and then work from home when they can. And others are like, I want to be in the office every day because I miss my friends. So you're going to see you're going to see a blend in training and in events and in meetings. Just like events, Engage, for the last few years, we've had a maximum of 500 members attend. This year we had 2,700 registered. 2,700. That could be 5,000 next year if we allow nationwide attendance over the computer. I mean, it's changed everything. Education 40% up because it's virtual. So that doesn't mean everything's going to be virtual. No, we're humans. We're interactive. We like people. We like to hug. We like to be together. We like to get together for margaritas after work, stuff like that. So it'll never be all virtual ever, but there'll be a blend of all this. So, and then the second thing is dealing with a real estate market, the new market that's comprised of low interest rates, lowest probably ever, limited inventory, very low inventory, rising prices. Prices are rising all over the country, increasing foreclosures that we're going to start to see a lot of those in January, mounting commercial real estate losses, and players now that individually are worth anywhere from $1 to $35 billion individually. So this is the new world that we're going to be moving into, that we're already in. Third thing is, if you're a commercial member, you know that CoStar is a major player in commercial real estate. And now they're the major player probably in apartments, because they bought apartments.com. And now they're buying HomeSnap, which is another real estate portal. So if you look at going forward, CoStar, Realtor.com, and Zillow will have a combined staff of over 10,000 people. Many of those are engineers and programmers. They'll have an annual advertising budget of over $250 million and a combined market cap or valuation of $70 billion. So our challenge is, how does HAR respond to this new dynamic? Because it's going to get wild next year. I worry about the advertising dollars that are going to be spent in this space. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. So another big topic that came up this year, Bob, and will continue on into next year, was the expansion of the Code of Ethics, the emphasis we've seen on diversity and inclusion. So how do you see those topics progressing in 2021?
The enforcement of the NAR Code of Ethics amendments regarding hate speech against protected classes will become a huge priority all across the United States. HR will strive to make diversity and inclusion mainstream as part of its culture, just like TreePack is totally part of its culture. I think HR's new Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, chaired by Thomas Mouton, who's our current Secretary Treasurer, will be extremely active. 2021 HR Chairman Richard Miranda has a strong passion for international and multicultural inclusion and education. And I know Richard will continue to make this a primary focus next year, as John Nugent did this year. You will recall in 1 week, not too long ago, Fox News ran a story called Racist Realtors. And they showed comments that our members had made on social media. And then John Legend that same week called out the real estate industry for not doing enough to stop discrimination in housing. And so that was kind of a double whammy. And this was going on all over the country. It was not a Houston issue, whatever. But NAR addressed it and made the changes. It wasn't unanimous, but just about unanimous.
Okay. So any broader trends that maybe are taking place that could impact the real estate industry next year?
Well, if you look at the increasing climate disasters, from floods in Iowa and wildfires in California and Oregon and Washington State, and a record-breaking 30 named storms causing hurricanes along the coast, all in 2021, this will mark the beginning of real estate big data. I mean, we've talked about it for years. It's actually happening right now and will really explode in 2021. You look at flood factor that's on Realtor.com. So if you go to Realtor.com, on any property in America, you can see what are the odds that property will flood either from a storm or a hurricane. Lenders, insurance companies, buyers, everybody is interested because they see it's happening all around them. Climate Check, a new product out, lets you check flood, lets you check drought, lets you check high temperatures or low temperatures, lets you check chances of fires, which again is not an issue for us. Hurricanes is our issue. West Coast is fires. So the Midwest is flooding. So, everybody's got an issue. Walk scores. That's a big thing that people, especially younger people, want to know. Can I walk to the coffee shop? Can I walk to get a pizza? How walkable is my neighborhood? School data. Number one reason people often buy a home where they buy it. What's the quality of those schools? Crime statistics. I get an email, I hear a text every day from neighbors about my car was broken into, or I heard a gunshot, or I mean, I live in a pretty good area, so
Yeah.
people want to know what's the crime and where I'm buying. So all of this is coming now. It's no longer fantasy, no longer something that might happen. All of these types of data are currently on Zillow, Realtor.com, and Redfin. So how is HAR.com going to respond? Let's say you like ice cream, and the store that you go to first has vanilla, but the store next door has 31 flavors. Which one are you going to go to? You're going to go to wherever you want. If you want vanilla, you'll go there. But if you want anything else, you'll go to the other store. So that's the dilemma we face. If you're not competitive, they don't come to you.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge HR is going to have to deal with. Second thing is, when Amazon began searching for a new headquarters, Houston, the fourth largest city in the United States, was not even on the list. That was the turning point for the leaders of Houston. They was like, okay, we got to wake up. Houston is now after information technology companies with very smart employees. No more oil myopia. So it doesn't mean that oil is going to go away. It's not going to be huge to the Houston oil and gas, to the Houston economy. It's going to change. It's just going to change. Digital innovation is now a Houston priority, combined with cleaner energy. Something that HR might want to look at is there's a move now by the city and the county to bring broadband to the Houston area market to everybody. And everybody will benefit. Let's think about when half the workforce is working from home and kids are learning from home. If the house doesn't have broadband, you can't learn, you can't work, which means what? You don't buy it. So broadband is going to become as important as electricity or water or anything else to the value of a home. And let's look at Texas now. Is the leading state, #1 state in wind and solar renewable energy. Right now, a $1.6 billion solar farm, $1.6 billion solar farm is being built just on the outskirts of Dallas. It'll span 13,000 football fields. Try to imagine 13,000 football fields, and it will power 300,000 homes.
Wow.
This is the new Texas. Tesla's building its semi-electric truck factory in Austin. And Oracle just announced it's moving its corporate headquarters from Silicon Valley to Austin. And Austin already has some Google, they've got IBM, and HP Enterprises just announced they're relocating its corporate headquarters from Silicon Valley to Houston, Texas. Wow. So Houston and the state are in the middle of a giant transformation now from an oil gas dependent economy onto a knowledge-based technology and clean energy economy. Doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight, it's not. But the fact that these major companies are relocating to Texas is fantastic. I mean, can't beat it. High-paying jobs and clean.
That's only good news for realtors, right?
It is. Great news. Yeah. Great news.
Are there any other issues that could have a dramatic impact on the industry?
Yes, one last one I'll mention is the NAR Buyer Commission Antitrust Lawsuit. It's dealing with whether the listing agent can compensate the buyer agent, and if that suit goes the wrong way, that will have a dramatic impact on the industry. Couple that with the Department of Justice lawsuit now against NAR that alleges illegal restraints on realtor competition. And what the DOJ wants is transparency in the commission. They say the buyer compensation is actually a dollar amount, and yet buyer agents go around and tell the buyer, hey, I'm free. It's not free. Someone's paying it, the DOJ says. They want the buyer to know how much their agent is making before they start negotiations, not when the contract's signed, but in advance. So that's one big thing. They're also seeking, and this is a puzzle to me, how we're going to do it. We will do it, but this is a puzzle. They're also seeking to allow any agent, if the seller authorizes, to have access to the MLS lockboxes. So right now it's limited to members of HR and MLS, but they want anybody that has a license that represents a buyer, if the seller authorizes, to have access to those boxes. So that's something we'll have to deal with working with NAR, which we do very well.
Very good. Just a quick comment came in from Gary Lee. He said broadband is the #2 realtor issue at the state legislature this session. So
thank you, Gary.
Yeah, very good. So Bob, I do have one more question for you, but before we do that, I do want to remind everyone that today's Member Focus Monday was sponsored by the Harris County Flood Control District, where Bob's father used to work. Floods are powerful, but knowledge is too. Mapnext.org will improve your understanding of the risk of flooding in Harris County so that the public, local communities, and emergency managers can make informed decisions to protect life and property that may be at risk during flooding events. You can take a look at their website for yourself and your clients today, and they do have a really quick video that I'll show you guys, and we'll come back with Bob's last question. So anyone who hasn't checked out mapnext.org, take a look at it. They've got some great resources for any residents or potential residents of Harris County. So Bob, you've given us so much information this morning. The comments were flooded with people thanking you for your innovation and leadership. Is there anything else you want us to know as we wrap up this last Member Focus Monday of the year?
Just, you're the best members in the country. I love working with you. I talk to so many of you every day, and it's just such an honor to be a part of your organization. 2020 has been a year like we've never seen before. We never want to see again. But I know we're battle tested, we're ready, and we're going to meet the challenges of 2021. I want to wish everyone an amazing holiday season. Be safe. Don't be around too many people. This is real, deadly, and we want you to be around and help all those buyers and sellers transact their transactions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Christina, appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Bob. And I do want to say on behalf of the other 80 plus staff that we have that aren't on the program with us this morning, but I see some in the comments. Thank you to you and Renee and the leadership for making this year what could be a difficult year helpful and easy for all of us. So thank you, Bob. One last thing, we will be back January 4th with he will be sworn in at that point, our 2021 Chair of the Board, Richard Miranda. So we'll see you guys next year. Have a great holiday season. Bye-bye.